Hey everyone, this is Nico from the Decentraland Foundation, and in this video I want to teach you how you can use the Decentraland editor together with a brand new alpha feature, the inspector, to create scenes using only the UI, or alternatively also expanding that into code. So I'm here in the Decentraland documentation, and I will go into the content creation section, and here if you go into getting started, I'll take a look at the first steps of the quick start guide. You will see that I need to install Visual Studio Code first of all, if you don't have it already. Visual Studio Code is an IDE, it's a program dedicated to creating software, to writing code, but you don't necessarily need to write code, as you'll see later, but you do need to install this program. It installs just like any other regular program with a simple wizard, and depending on your OS, you will see different options here. Once you have Visual Studio Code installed, you need to open it, and you will see that there are various icons here on the side. One of them is the extensions icon. If I click this, I will access a pretty large catalog of third-party extensions, and there is one specifically that I care about installing, which is the Decentraland Editor SDK7 extension. In this case, I already have it installed, but if you don't, you will see an install button just like in the others, and that will install everything you need for creating Decentraland scenes. Now, as I already have it installed, I will see that I already have this icon right here. You might need to restart Visual Studio Code if, depending on the operating system, if that's the case, you will be prompted to do so. And if I click on this item, I will see that a custom panel opens up with options that are specific to this extension. Right now, I am standing on an empty folder. This is a folder that has no files in it. And if that's the case, then I will see the option to create a project. So if I click on this button, I can select what kind of project. In this case, there's just one option, the standard project. And now this will go through the process of creating a set of default files with a template scene. And this may take a minute or two. But if I go into this tab here, I can see the files that are already in my folder. It was just now empty, and now you can see that there's a whole bunch of files. Right now, for the purpose of this video, we won't dive into what each one of these is, but we can later dive into really what is going on here, what these files mean. Now that the process of creating the scene is over, you'll see that there are some new options right here. And what I want to focus on today is opening the inspector, which is the brand new alpha tool that lets me create content by just using the UI. So when I first create my scene, you'll see that I have this magic cube as a stand-in, and I can move this thing around. I can use this gizmo to rotate it in whichever axis I want. I can also use this other gizmo to scale it in one axis or the other. And I can also use the UI to set these values numerically. For example, if I want to set the scale to 2 and I don't want to get it just right by moving the gizmos, I can just set a numeric value, and sometimes that is a much more comfortable alternative. Or set the rotation here to 0. Another alternative is to use fixed increments. For example, if I use the snap option, I am able to position, rotate, or scale things using fixed increments. For example, if I press Shift and keep it pressed as I rotate this, I can, instead of moving it smoothly, I can move it in fixed increments, which are sometimes a lot more useful when I'm trying to get something just right as well. Another interesting thing is that right here I have access to all of the assets that were available in the good old web builder. So I can open any one of these asset packs, and there's a large collection of assets that are low poly and fully optimized for Decentraland. So I can just drag these in, and they will appear, they will be added to my scene files. And there's all kinds of things, all different colors and themes. And yeah, one also very interesting thing is that I can parent things. So for example, I have this cart here. I want to say add some logs, and I want to parent these logs to the cart. Instead, let's say that instead of just moving them to the exact position of the cart, and then if I want to move the cart, I have to move everything again. What I can do is set the logs to be a child of the cart. So I can just drag this item here to this one, and now they are parented. And now what's different is that the position of the logs is going to always be relative to that of the parent. So if I move the cart, the logs move right with it. If I rotate it, the same happens. So that's a pretty interesting and very useful way to scale up what you build and to have a lot more control about what you're doing. Another interesting thing is that I can, besides having access to all of these low poly assets, I can also add my own from local files. So if I hit this plus sign up here, I can go over and fetch files from some other random project that I have on my machine. For example, I can go for this shark right here. And now that I've imported it, I can find it here in this inspector, and I can just drag it into the scene just like all of the others. And you can maybe not see it very well from this angle, but here is a nice little shark. Once I'm happy with how I position the entities in my scene, don't forget to hit the save icon. An alternative to make this easier and not have to remember that is to open the settings and enable autosave. And with this, you will be saving every change as you make adjustments to your scene. So now I can open the Run Scene button, and what this does is it opens another tab where I am running the scene as a preview, all right here still inside Visual Studio Code. I'm going to close this to make some more room, as well as this down here. And now I'll be able to enter my scene as a player and explore what I just created as an avatar. So this is my scene, and I am exploring it as an avatar. You can see that the cart and the shark and other things are here. But one thing you'll notice is that this blue square that I added right here is no longer white, and it rotates. And that is done via code. I will dig deeper into how that magic is done in another video. For now, I want to just focus on what you can do with the visual UI. And if you drag things around, for example, if I move this shark up, you'll see that it also gets updated as I change things. So it's a great flow to have both things open side by side and just move them around and see the output, see how it translates into working with the scene. You'll notice that there's a UI here, which is also part of what the code is describing in the scene. One last thing I want to show is that if you hit this scene element here, the root entity of the scene, you'll have some additional settings, in this case the parcels list. With this I can even enlarge the scene, because the default scene spans this space, which is just one 16 by 16 parcel, but if I want to list more parcels here, I can just add them, and suddenly my scene is gonna have a larger footprint to include all of this space. One other comment that I wanted to add is that whenever I'm adding more items into my scene, for example from the builder catalog, and I have the preview running, I will have to restart the preview in order to see the new items. So for example, if I still had that preview open and I added these graveyard items from the Halloween pack, I will not see them appear right away simply because I have to restart the running of the preview. That is something that needs to be optimized in the future, but for now you require the workaround of stopping the preview and running it again to see new items, which include new models. So that's all I wanted to share with you for now. In a future video, I want to dig deeper into how you can use that magic cube and the UI and other things to create interactive and more fun things in your scene. Thanks for watching.